Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I am excited to be chatting with you today about the month of February 2023. So I have some intuitive messages that I just want to dive right into because I'm channeling a lot for this energy. Hang on, let me light up a candle. Getting that intuitive energy to spark a candle, and that's funny because we have the full moon in Leo coming up February 5th. And Leo is a fire sign. It rules over the heart. It is ruled by the sun. So it's this bright, fiery light source. So there's this energy working with fire magic, light magic, sparking something within yourself. Wow, the flame is really big. Do you guys hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. It was like popping a little bit. So that's funny. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, I like that energy work with fire magic. Let's go ahead and dive into these intuitive messages right now because I'm channeling a lot for February. It's January 31st right now. So the first thing that I channeled is to take time to calculate your next step, the next week, the next few weeks. I wouldn't really wing things right now. I want to go out there and wing it. I want to go out there and just, play by ear. I would be calculated right now. And I would try to plan. You don't have to have every single minute planned for the next 2 weeks, but have an idea. Okay, this is when I want to get that done. Maybe I'll start this up. Maybe I'll sit down and do this. Try to have a general idea. The next intuitive message I was channeling is that we have this 3-month period of all planets direct. And so we have February, we have March, we have a little bit of April, we have the end of January. So there's about a 3-month window here. And I'm looking at the sun and where that is. And we have the sun in Aquarius, then we have the sun in Pisces, and then the sun in Aries around this time. And one thing that I'm getting is that the sun in Aquarius, end of January, we kind of started to realize where we were living life half lived. When we were kind of trying to then figure out, how can I switch that up? How can I align myself in the right direction of where I want to be? We don't always need to know where we're going, but let's at least get the direction right. That was kind of the vibe I'm getting for the end of January. And then going into February, I think this is where we start to open up our hearts, so that way we're not living things half lived anymore. I think that's a big theme of the full moon in Leo, is to live life full and bright. Think about what the sun is. Sun is this big bright ball in the sky, giving us energy to live, giving us life. And so I think that's what this month of February is going to ask us, is to open up our hearts fully in areas where we've been living life half lived. And while the sun was in Aquarius, I think it gave us insights on how we can get our calculations right. Gave us the detached thinking to even see where we were living life half lived. And now that we are in Pisces, Pisces is about connection to the right energy, to source energy, to positive energy, empowering energy, whatever it is you need. Pisces energy rules over a different state of being. Okay? A different state of mind, a different state of thinking, a different state of spiritually looking at things, a different state of emotions. We can see that in Pisces energy is the ability to switch those states. And then when we have the sun in Aries and we're wrapping up the last few weeks of all planets direct, that's go time, that's bloom time, that is when we are actually devoted to living our lives to the fullest. That is where we actually are devoted to our goals, to the blessings that we have, to the things we were entrusted with. That is when I think of Aries energy, I think of devotion, being able to fight and stand with something until the very end, being so stubborn about it. And so another thing that I was feeling for this energy is this balancing of Taurus energy. So Taurus energy rules over the basic material things that a human needs, like a home, food, a comforting place to sleep. This is the things that a human needs to thrive, like quality food and really clean water, things like that. And I'm seeing this energy of a balancing act here, and I think it's really important to share this message too. So if you hear this message, share this message. Make sure, if you can, that you give when someone needs it, that you are compassionate when someone needs it, that you are patient when someone needs it. And this is not to a point where you are being extremely selfless, that you deplete your own self. No, that doesn't help anybody. That does not help you. That is not the humanitarian thing to do. You give to the greater good, and the greater good will not deplete you. You also grow from that. So, if you have like extra food, give it away if you can. See if anyone needs it. See if anyone's hungry. Or little things like that. It doesn't even have to be as simple as that, but it's just this energy of like rebalancing a little bit of the gap between people who have it, people who don't, people who are thriving, people who are not, people who are rich, people who are poor. Like, if you're someone who's really happy, be someone who also creates happiness for other people. Like, share that light. If you are someone who is really rich, then feed some people every now and then. Randomly give someone a 20 for lunch. I don't know. If you are someone who's really spiritual and healed and peaceful and zen, like, create spaces for others to be peaceful and zen too. Share that gift that you have. That is how us humans heal, and we heal other people. It creates this healthier environment around us, and we then heal and benefit from ourselves. But we shouldn't do it out of a place of selfishness. It should just be for altruism, for the greater good of things. And I think that's very prominent right now. We have a new moon in Pisces, so I feel like that theme is coming up. Pisces is very compassionate energy, and I think we need to be exercising that compassion, honoring that energy. That, if we're seeing the zodiac sign of Pisces getting lit up in the sky, that's an indicator to me that we need that kind of medicine, that medicine of love and compassion. And that's not easy to do, because we sometimes aren't even being loving and compassionate to ourselves. So start with yourself. Any type of change, it happens on the inside, and then it comes outside. Think of like a human being born. That happens on the inside for a whole 9 months. It's cooking in there, and then it comes out. Love will work the same. You start giving yourself a whole bunch of love, it'll cook in there, and eventually just pours out of you, because there's so much love inside of you that's just pouring out of you. So I think another message too that I have is that listen to that tiny inner voice in your head. If there's even the tiniest little voice in there that is saying something over and over again, listen to that voice. So there's like this tiny voice in you that says, we deserve more than this. Take a moment to pause and just hear what they have to say. If there's a tiny voice in you that says, this feels wrong, I don't really like our intention here, take a moment to pause in your day and listen to that voice. Okay, that voice knows something. Another lesson I was picking up for is the lesson of intention. And what a lot of people know you have to set your intention, but that's half the work. The rest is using that intention, directing that intention, bringing that intention to life. You are the human, you are the alchemist, you are the thing that brings other things to life. That's your magic. So you need to bring that intention to life. So let's say you set your intention in the morning, today is going to be a productive day. Use that intention throughout the day. Every time you feel like too that things are getting slacking or whatever, reset that intention, move it, use it. So how this would look is you set the intention to have a productive day. And then it's 10 a.m., you're about to go into a work meeting. Then you're going to be like, okay, this meeting is gonna go well. This meeting is going to be mutually beneficial. That's you using that intention. Go into it with that mindset. This meeting is about to be mutually beneficial. Then, after your meeting, you go on a lunch break. You're about to eat food. Set that intention. I'm going to order food that is super nutrient dense and is going to give me the energy I need. Set that intention about the food. So a tip, which I really suck at personally, but tip is to use present tense. Say it like it's happening right now. So I am going to have an awesome, productive meeting. I am going to eat a really nutrient dense lunch. It's going to recharge me, get me back into it. I am going to have such a good day at the office, and I know my boss is going to recognize me. Give me some credit here. I know that blah, blah, blah. Like, use that intention throughout your day. And you'll get better and better at it as you do it. Okay. So I kind of want to get into the gene keys now. So I'm using the Gene Keys. Let me read the whole title. The Gene Keys, Embracing Your Higher Purpose book by Richard Rudd. I will link that down below if you want to check it out. It's an awesome book. I'm going to be using it a lot on this channel, so we can use it together. But I'm basically using it kind of like an oracle, where I ask a question out loud and then I turn to a random page and that's my answer. And the book actually says that you can use it like an oracle. So it was really fun and unexpected. But I've been enjoying this. So I pulled one for February. I asked, what is the energy for February? What is the advice for February? What do we need to work on as a collective? And I got Gene Key 29, Leaping into the Void. That's what Richard Rudd titled this. And at a shadow level, so at its lowest vibration, this can manifest as half-heartedness. On a gift level, it represents commitment. And then on the city level, which is the highest way this energy can vibrate, it manifests as devotion. So let's talk a little bit about the shadow vibration of Gene Key 29. Richard Rudd titled this paragraph that I read, The Half-Lived Life. And I really think that sums up this energy where when we're at the shadow of when we're about to leap into the void, but we're vibrating from a shadowy place, we have this energy of half-lived lives where we don't do something, or we do something and then we quit halfway through. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't follow through the path. And this card talks about desires and how that's a very natural human, inner urge. But we go about our desires in a half-hearted way that will always lead to a chaotic outcome. That's never going to lead to the outcome we want, because our desires require our commitment. It's not worth doing something half-heartedly. That's what the shadow energy says. It's not even worth it because there's no way you're going to see it all the way through. Without commitment, action lacks power, it lacks direction, and this book talks about how it lacks luck as well. There's, let me find, here it is. In this book, there's a quote by Richard Rudd. It says, "There exists a universal law that anything that is done with full commitment carries the seed of good fortune. Likewise, anything done without full commitment carries the seed of misfortune." And so there's also another quote in this book that goes, "Half-heartedness robs you of your opportunity to participate in life's mystery. Half-heartedness robs you of your opportunity to participate in life's mystery. It stalls life's natural tendency towards the magical and profound," by Richard Rudd. So, I like this energy of cycles and understanding that life does work in a cycle, and commitment isn't about forever. It's just about seeing it through until the end, right? And so sometimes we get frustrated when we do commit to something and we like what's happening and it ends. An example of this would be this is kind of personal, but I really love doing astrology readings for people, tarot readings for people, but I've also been feeling that sort of coming to an end, and that's been a really hard thing for me to let go. But we have to remember that endings aren't about success and failure. It's just about something ending. It just ran its course. It's done its time. It has given you what it needed to give you. And it might be time to commit to something else, to do something else. And so we can sometimes have a difficulty trusting that process. And I think that is something that makes change hard. And February brings in a lot of change. And so we have to sort of leap into the void, like this Gene Key says. We have to trust our desires, trust in the changes of the wind, trust to where we're being called to, the new things that we find fun. There is a passage in this book that I really want to read you. It says, "Half-heartedness robs you of your opportunity to participate in life's mystery. It stalls life's natural tendency towards the magical and profound. This shadow keeps you a victim of fate rather than being a player in the great play. It keeps you in the sidelines, ensuring that you play roles in life that are dull and monotonous, or else fraught with emotional agony. In a nutshell, when you enter into something half-heartedly, you invite misery into your life." The 29th Gene Key is about human feelings. It's about sex and relating. It's about sex, relating, failure, success, desire, and expectation. No matter who you are, your life depends upon your honoring the laws of this Gene Key. When you do something half-heartedly, you are actually behaving dishonestly. You may not be literally dishonest with others, but you are being dishonest with yourself and with life, and this always has unpleasant consequences. The 29th shadow is a wake-up call to human beings. How clearly you hear the message depends on how deeply asleep you are. Commitment operates within a cycle, and at the end of its cycle, it either automatically renews itself or it lets go and commits to something else. Really love that passage right there. So, what are we committing to? What do we desire? Where are we scared to take a leap? Where do we need to trust the commitments that we've already made a little bit more? That would be some of the things to journal about here. And then on a gift level, we have devotion. Let me flip to these pages. Okay. And this card talks about devotion. Let me tell you how he defines it. Devotional paths are all paths of self-surrender in which you completely lose your own sense of self in another. And this could be things like a mission. He mentioned, as an example, Mother Teresa's devotion to the poor. That was a mission. It could be an ideal. It could be a symbol. It could be a spiritual practice. It could be a religious practice. It could be so many things. It could be an art practice. Basically, a devotion is something where it's not like a blind following, blind followings, there's like a selfishness to it. Usually devotion comes with a commitment to others, and that's what's so engulfing about that energy. That's what makes someone so obsessed with that. I wouldn't want to say obsessed, but devoted to that energy. It's more about seeing that thing in everything else. An example would be like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was devoted to basketball, and he saw basketball in everything around him. He made his life bend to basketball. But in doing that, he created this insane, just alchemical, energetic reaction that made people love a sport, or love the sense of community from the sport. There was a healing energy to it. There was a way it served other people. There was a way where it was for the greater good. And that is devotion at its highest, not like blindly being obsessed with like a fake, like guru or something on the internet, right? It's not about that. And I think that is an interesting thing. The city frequencies are always like, they feel so out of touch with our human capabilities, because it's true, because they are, because we've drifted far from these old ancient wisdoms and practices. But I still like to talk about what an energy could look like when it's vibrating at its highest point, and the Gene Keys has been a really awesome way to do that. There is a passage I want to read here to you about the city part, or city frequency of the 29th Gene Key. It says, when the quantum leap from the 29th gift into the 29th city occurs, an extraordinary thing happens. All the love that has been poured into the object of devotion suddenly begins pouring back into the devoted one from everything in their universe. At this point, the one manifesting the city often refers to everything, including themselves, as the beloved. Thus, it is said by such people that the very rocks and the trees that the very rocks and the trees bleed their love towards the beloved. So everywhere you go, there's love that comes from you, because you devoted to this thing that gave so many other people love. Everywhere Kobe Bryant went, there was love. That love that he poured into basketball gave back to him in so many ways. Probably his entire existence gave back to him because he poured love into basketball. His family, he was blessed with a beautiful family, blessed with success, all the things that us humans dream of, right? Fame, whatever, the big cars, all that mundane material things that we humans obsess with. He was blessed with that. I mean, he had what he needed to thrive in the matrix, right? But that's not what it's about either. Remember, that's not what it's about. That's not how you uncover these kind of things. Frequencies and gates are not just something. Frequencies and like quantum leaps, that's not just something that happens. It has to be this really beautiful alchemical reaction. That's how it happens. You do one thing, the universe responds in this way, and it leads to that evolution. It's an alchemical reaction. It's like mixing the right amount of chemicals to get a chemical reaction. Let's see. Okay, let me go ahead and get into the astrology of February now, which is looking really interesting. We have some interesting ingressions. So I'm just going to go by date. The first transit that really sticks out to me is the full moon in Leo, February 5th. And I will probably make a video dedicated on that. But like I said, full moons are about completion and a culmination point and something being illuminated in your life. And Leo's about the inner child, self-expression, leadership, self-illumination, shining bright within ourselves, our vitality, standards you set for yourself, love, warmth, life, pride, integrity. That's all Leo energy. And so something about this is coming to a cultivation point. And the thing about Leo energy is, yes, it rules over like the king and the ruler and the leader, but the way to becoming a good ruler and leader is to learn how to serve. Those who know how to follow know how to lead. Those who know how to serve know how to lead. And so I think this energy teaches us lessons about servitude. It teaches us lessons about helping other people. And I think it also, again, teaches us lessons about living life to the fullest, really opening our heart and trusting the universe. I think that there's a funny quote that I'm thinking of from this book by Richard Rudd. And it's about devotion. He says, here it is: the path of devotion is far removed from society. Devotion is commitment gone mad, It is mad in the sense that you have to leave the order of your mind to enter the wildness of your heart. And I think this full moon in Leo can open up gateways to some of you into the wildness of your heart. Then we're going to have Mercury entering the sign of Aquarius on February 11th. And I like this energy. This is when we really start, I think, to figure out the right trajectory, how we want to align ourselves. This is where we get like the new innovative idea. This is where we get us original ideas. This is where we get ideas about the future and what that would look like, where we get insight on how we're progressing, and we can really take stock of that. I think this is also a time of unplugging. Now, it's funny because Aquarius rules over the internet and Mercury's here, so most of you are probably going to want to plug in. But the internet is not the only thing to plug into. So unplugging from the internet and plugging into source energy, into divine energy, into that meditative state, into a sense of timelessness, into a sense of creativity. Plug into a different frequency. It is our natural instinct to be plugged into something as humans. Before internet was born, we were plugged into our intuition, plugged into the source energy, and we need to get back to that just a little bit. So taking time in nature, sitting, soaking up the sun, not giving an F about what's due tomorrow, needs to get done tomorrow, having that moment of just inner quietness, inner peace, warmth from the sun. Plug into that. Try to have more experiences like that. Well, not just while Mercury's in Aquarius all the time, but Mercury in Aquarius is a great time to do that. Another thing I will say is that Mercury rules over the nervous system in Aquarius. It can be like very jolty energy. So I think it's really important to be taking care of the nervous system, to relax, to be relaxing and winding down often. I feel like the electrical systems within our body could be sparky right now, jolty. I think of lightning energy when I think of Aquarius, and that's not to say you're gonna get electrocuted. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you get a burst of energy, or burst of just like energy where you don't know where to put it, and you get a little bit manic-y. You're I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just moving. It could be an interesting energy. So just make sure you're calming down the nervous system, relaxing, also letting the energy out, exercising, sweating, stretching, anything. Just let the energy out. Then we have the sun entering the sign of Pisces February 18th. And Pisces season is normally a time to be reflective, and it's a time to do things behind the scenes. I think it's can be normally a time where we want to hibernate and kind of just sleep all day. But I'm feeling that we actually need to sort of step up and start doing the behind the scenes work right now. Preparing for something, doing the research, getting taxes straight, legality straight, whatever plans you have straight, making travel plans. This is a time to just do the behind the scenes work for the result that you are hoping for the big goal. Let's say your big goal is to fly to France in friggin' December or whatever. Start to make the travel plans a little bit, get your passports in order. Let's say your plan is to, grow your Twitter or whatever. Start making the Twitter right now. Start thinking about the content you're going to create. This is the behind the scenes time. And then we have Venus entering Aries. Now, I'm probably going to make individual videos for all of these transits, so don't mind me if I'm moving a little fast. But Venus will enter Aries February 20 around noon. So it'll be after the new moon, after the new moon. I think a few hours after the new moon. So Venus will be with a new moon when that happens, which I think is interesting, the timing of it. But I think this is going to be a tricky little transit. It can feel a little confusing at first because Venus, I feel like it's exalted in the sign of Libra. It loves the sign of Libra, so it doesn't have as much fun in Aries, that I'll say. And I think that one way this can be looked at is you could be sort of burned by like aggression, your own aggression, impulse, or other people's aggression and impulses. On a more positive note, I think this could be not accepting that something is a weakness and putting in the work to strengthen that, and putting the hard work to achieve your goals, and going after what you want, having the courage. That's the good way that this could be. Another more negative thing I could see about this is arguments within relationships, and that can either be an opportunity to grow stronger or it could be an opportunity to end things, So again, reflect on commitment and what we're committing to, and if that is something that brings you joy and peace. And if it does, things are worth fighting for. And if it doesn't, cycles. Okay. Then we have the new moon in Pisces, February 20th. And Venus is going to be at the 29th degree of Pisces when this happens. And the 29th degree is where the knots come undone. So karma in the house that Pisces rules, there's going to be a knot that comes undone there. This is the knot that Venus has tied, so it's the knot that Venus will be undoing. And there could have been perhaps struggles in the area of Pisces, and this Venus at the 29 degree would bring in some healing, bring in some spring cleaning, bring in some positive and gentle, magical energy here. If it's, if that is a momentum, right? It's going to give you what you need. Venus is like a medicine. It's going to give you what you need. If you need a breakup, this might be that breakup. If you need a confidence boost, this might be the confidence boost. If you need more material security, this might be, where you start to see the breadth of that. But first, we're going to see something become undone first. So if you're wanting that financial security to come in, it's the, bad money habits that needs to be undone that Venus is going to teach you about. If you want that positive, healthy, amazing relationship that you deserve, it is the negative relationships that are going to have to be undone for you to get that. Venus is untying knots at the 29th. So those are the major ingresses for major ingresses for 2023. I always combine or mix my words sometimes. Don't mind me. It's my brain. But let's talk about a few transits that I think are going to be interesting. So I talked about Venus square Mars in the last video. In the Venus and Pisces video. So check that out for more. But Venus square Mars is going to happen on February 4th. I think it's going to be interesting. This is when something is, I think, wrapping up. It's firing up, and we know it's going to be done. We'll see the insight there. It might not manifest that way for all of you, but that's one way this can manifest. I think another way is that our Mars energy could be feeling a little bit pent up right now, and Venus is going to maybe bring some insight on how to release that, how to just create more room for yourself. Venus is the stronger energy here, so Mars will have to surrender to Venus, which I think is always a little easier on the collective than Venus having to surrender to Mars. A negative way I could see this energy coming up is being overly receptive, overly sensitive to things. Let me have a sip of water. I think that this could match up to like some passion, some sensuality. I think this could also make it so you want to like confront something, but you don't want collateral damage. You don't want to be erratic. So you'll need to take time to pause and contemplate and figure out what's the best way to go about things, but I think that's good. I think that Mars is starting to come out of reflection a little bit here. He's definitely been out of reflection, but he's still been pent up, and Venus almost feels like that girlfriend that comes in and like tries to soothe her like super angry boyfriend, like, hey, let's calm down, it's gonna be okay. So there could be a soothing energy here, but it comes after Mars has like showed us where we're not so chill, where we're not so soothed. Then we have Mercury conjunct Pluto. That one I think is going to be interesting. That is some deep thinking energy. That is esoteric energy. That could be hearing news about like, a death. That could be demands for truth. And I don't think this would be necessarily a death within your inner circle. This would be like more of like a public figure where the collective mourns as a collective. That is something I would see here. It's in the side of Capricorns, could be in death of like someone in power. Very interesting. Secrets coming out about people in power. I think this is also Mercury coming in to check in with Pluto about what keeps you contracted. What are your vows? What are your promises? And is that something that feels right, or is there something off about that? Then we have the Venus conjunct Neptune in Pisces transit. I also mentioned this in the Venus in Venus in Neptune. It's conjunct Neptune transit, but I also mentioned this in the Venus in Pisces transit. And this energy, I think, can be very magical. I think it can be very visionary and intuitive. I think Neptune and Pisces energy is like really good at seeing into the future through that meditative state, through the dream state, through the creative state. I think this energy too is about becoming more conscious of hidden parts of yourself, or parts of yourself that you're just unaware of, because Venus energy is really conscious. And so Venus is coming in to check in with Neptune about what have we been unconscious about? What have we not been recognizing? What's been hidden? Especially in things relating to Venus, like love, pleasure, money, finances, beauty, aesthetics, people, things like that. Let's see if there's any other interesting. One thing that is interesting is that we'll have Saturn at the 29 and Pluto at the 29. So we talked a little bit about what the 29 is. It's the undoing, it's the untying of a karmic knot. With Saturn at the 29, there's something like deeply rooted, deeply long-term, a cycle that is long-term, that is going to experience its ending story and its cultivation story. With Pluto at the 29, it's also, I think, more of like a generational thing that is coming to an end, coming to a cultivation point. So I think it's important to hold space for this phase, to honor this phase, to journal about the things that are wrapping up and coming to a close in your life and sending them off in a beautiful way, letting them go, releasing them, being ready for the changes and the transformation, and to learn something new. When things come to an end, we better be ready for things that are new. So those are the main astro transits that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, I'll be making individual videos for most of these, so that's why I'm just breezing through them right now. But that's your insight on February. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was a lot of fun just sitting here chatting with you about intuitive messages and the gene keys and astrology. Don't forget to give this video a like, by the way, if you enjoy it. I am just getting back into monthly videos, so I want to make sure you guys like it. We'll see if it sticks, but I'm trying it out, seeing if it's something that I can also incorporate into my everyday. But I thought this was really fun. But I'd like to hear your feedback too. Also, check out my tarot course. I'll link it down below. Today's the last day that it's donation based, so definitely take advantage of that while you still have the chance. And you'll also find my official social medias down below. Make sure, if you're going to connect with me on social media, that you follow those accounts, because there are fake pages and impersonators out there, so just beware. And you'll find my website in the description box too, and that has a whole bunch of other fun stuff like free articles, my Patreon services I offer, all that good stuff. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful last day of January and a wonderful February. Have a good one. Bye.